The Kelvin Timeline might go on in Star Trek 4, but the movie has been stuck for a long time. It all started in 2009 with J.J. Abrams' fresh take on Star Trek, where Chris Pine played a new version of James T. Kirk. Now, that film and the next one, Star Trek Into Darkness in 2013, made lots of money and got good reviews. But the third one, Star Trek Beyond in 2016, didn't do as well with ticket sales, even though people liked it. Since then, no one's sure what's next for Star Trek on the big screen. Work on a new Star Trek 4 movie started before Star Trek Beyond came out, with writers J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. Then, in 2017, Quentin Tarantino, wow, shared his ideas for a Star Trek film with J.J. Abrams, and they worked on it separately. In 2018, S.J. Clarkson was picked to direct the Beyond follow-up, but talks with Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth fell apart. In 2019, Noah Hawley came on to write and direct a new story, but by 2020, Tarantino stepped away, and Hawley's plan was paused by the new bosses at Paramount. But against all odds, Star Trek 4 is very close to a release date, and we have some very interesting theories, rumours and speculations that you definitely have to stick around to see as we show you everything we know about Star Trek 4. So let's have a look at early development and setbacks. Well, thinking about it, writers J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay were tasked with creating and crafting a script in 2016. Their script vision involved a time travel plot reuniting Kirk with his father George Kirk, who was to be played by Chris Hemsworth, who had a brief but impactful role in the 2009 film's prologue. But by July 2016, producer J.J. Abrams confirmed Hemsworth's return, and the project was set for production, with director S.J. Clarke hired in April 2018. However, negotiations collapsed in August 2018 due to salary disputes, with both Pine and Hemsworth walking away. They both complained of Paramount's attempt to enforce pay cuts amid budget adjustments following Star Trek Beyond's lackluster performance, right? But this marked a significant setback, as the film was close to production with plans for a summer 2020 release. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Following this, the project saw multiple iterations. In December 2017, Quentin Tarantino pitched a separate Star Trek idea for a Star Trek film, which was developed independently, but ultimately abandoned when Tarantino decided not to direct it in January 2020. So, Noah Hawley was brought on in November 2019 to write and direct another version. But by August 2020, new Paramount executives shelved his project, citing strategic shifts. Now, these changes highlight the franchise's struggle to find a cohesive direction, and it was also worsened by competition from other major franchises, like Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which reportedly influenced Paramount's decisions. Let's take a look at recent developments and cast involvement. Now, despite these challenges, Paramount reaffirmed its commitment to the production of Star Trek 4 in February 2022 and announced a December 2023 release date, which was later removed from the calendar in August 2022, after director Matt Shakman left to direct Marvel's Fantastic Four reboot. So, in March 2024, now keep up with me here, Steve Yockley, who's widely known for The Flight Attendant, was reported to be writing a new draft, with the film described as the final chapter in the Kelvin Timeline series. Suggesting a conclusive narrative for the current cast. Now, Zoe Saldana, who portrays Uhura, has also confirmed her involvement in early 2025, expressing enthusiasm but also urgency due to the cast's aging. Well, that's true actually, it's probably nearly 10 years or so. Anyway, in an interview with Deadline, she said, "I wish we were able to do it sooner rather than later. I feel like a lot of us have a full head of grey hair, so we need to do this quickly if this is the same cast that's going to reprise it again." Now, she also mentioned not waiting around and pursuing other projects, like Guardians of the Galaxy and Avatar, which could impact the scheduling of Star Trek 4. Now, Chris Pine, who is now 44, has also voiced interest, wondering how his ageing portrayal of Kirk will fit into the narrative. At Ace Superhero Comic Con 2024, he stated, "We all like one another a lot. I'm good friends with everybody I've ever worked with. We have a great time doing it. I'm a lot older now, so I'd be curious where the next story lands us in terms of what it would be and what we've said in the press." Now, his involvement therefore seems likely given recent reports. But Chris Hemsworth's return remains uncertain, with no recent confirmation after the 2018 salary dispute. And he previously expressed concerns about the story's direction, saying, "I didn't feel like we landed on a reason to revisit that yet." The status of other cast members such as Zachary Quinto, who plays Spock, and Carl Urban, who plays Dr. McCoy, is also very less clear. Though it's assumed the main cast will return, given Saldana's commitments about the cast reuniting. So let's take a look at plot speculations and rumours. I've got to play with this again. This has got a light on it. Hold on. It's got a little light for the bridge, see? And the nacelles light up. What? Well, they don't do much lighting up, but anyway, there we go. Given the lack of official plot details, one rumour suggests a time travel plot, potentially revisiting the events that created the Kelvin timeline, such as the destruction of the USS Kelvin in 2233, allowing interactions with the Prime timeline. Come on! Anyway, another speculation is a major Federation threat, possibly involving the Romulans, given their history in the Kelvin timeline, such as Nero's actions in the 2009 film. A character-driven narrative is also plausible, focusing on Kirk's decision to remain captain and the crew's arcs, especially given the final chapter description. Now, there's also rumours that include potential connections to the original timeline, possibly through the older Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy, who appeared in the 2009 film, don't forget, though his passing in 2015 limits physical appearances, obviously. Now, some fans also speculate a crossover with Prime timeline characters, but this seems unlikely given the separate universes. So, another rumour suggests a new alien species as the antagonist, possibly inspired by the diverse threats in previous films, like the Crawl and beyond. This could introduce fresh conflict, expanding the Kelvin universe's lore. For instance, a species from uncharted space, perhaps with advanced technology, could challenge the Federation, offering a new dynamic compared to Romulans or Klingons, and fit the budget-conscious approach by focusing on new designs rather than established ones. Here's where I'll throw in my 2 cents with a theory that's been rattling around in my head. Now, what if Star Trek IV takes that time travel idea and goes full multiverse? If Kirk and the Enterprise crew hit a temporal snag that doesn't just take them back to 2233, but accidentally lands them face to face with William Shatner's Kirk from the Prime timeline. Oh! Now listen, I know Shatner's 93 now, so he's not likely to return in person, but maybe a CGI cameo, or his voice could boom through a comms channel, giving Pine's Kirk some, well, grizzled advice. It'd be like a passing of the torch. 2 Kirks, 2 timelines, all in one epic moment. With Star Trek IV being the final chapter, it could tie up the Kelvin story while tipping its hat to the original series. Sure, it's a long shot, and purists might grumble about timeline rules, but Star Trek's always been bold about ideas like that. Plus, with Pine and Saldana worrying about their grey hairs, it'd fit the theme of time catching up. So let's take a look at cast and character consideration. Now, one of the trickiest issues facing Star Trek IV is what to do with Pavel Chekhov. Originally played by Anton Yelchin. Tragically, Yelchin passed away in a freak accident shortly after filming Wrapped, and he was just 27. He was hit by his car in a driveway mishap. His death left a hole in the Kelvin crew, and, well, obviously it's a sensitive spot for both fans and filmmakers. Recasting him feels off the table, as it'd be tough to replace someone so beloved without it feeling disrespectful. Instead, maybe the movie might write him out, that maybe he's transferred to another ship, or has taken leave to visit his family in Russia, or even retired early to pursue something quieter after all the chaos he's been through. Of course, another option could be a memorial nod, like a dedication plaque on the new Enterprise, or perhaps a quiet moment where the crew raises a glass to their lost friend. Cheers, Chekhov. Whatever they choose, it'll need to honour Yelchin's legacy without overshadowing the story. Now, then there's Zachary Quinto as Spock, the half-Vulcan science officer who's been a linchpin of the Kelvin films. Now at 47, Quinto's real-world age could add layers to Spock's arc in Star Trek IV. Maybe he's facing pressure to step up as a leader among the surviving Vulcans, or perhaps his relationship with Uhura, who played out with a quiet intensity with the last 3 films, hits a turning point. The final chapter tag suggests a wrap-up, so we might see Spock make a definitive choice to stay with the Enterprise or commit to his heritage. Who knows? Carl Urban, who plays Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, is another key player who could shine in Star Trek IV. Urban, now 52, has nailed the grumpy, heart of gold vibe of DeForest Kelley's original Bones, turning him into the crew's sarcastic conscience. In Beyond, he got some great moments showing off his grit and loyalty. With the cast aging, Bones could be the voice of experience, maybe grumbling about being too old for this, while patching up
Urban's
the crew
hinted at
after
interest
yet
in returning,
another scrape, saying in interviews, "I'd love to see Bones get a proper send-off." Now, Simon Pegg, who plays Scotty, the miracle-working engineer, is another character with room to grow. Pegg, who's 55 now, co-wrote Beyond and brought a scrappy, inventive energy to Montgomery Scott, originally played by James Doohan. For Star Trek IV, his age could play into a storyline about passing on his engineering know-how, or facing a technical challenge so big that it tests even his genius. Now, John Cho, who plays Hikaru Sulu, first portrayed by George Takei as a full-fledged leader, especially in Beyond, where he's got a husband and daughter waiting back home. That family angle, introduced in 2016 as a subtle tribute to Takei's advocacy, could come back in Star Trek IV. Perhaps Sulu will be torn between duty to the Enterprise and his life on Earth, giving John Cho a chance to flex some emotional range. And there you have it, there's my ideas on Star Trek. So, if you want to hear some more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Beam me up, Chrissy! Bye!